Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to this, the November 18th edition of Beyond the Headlines. My name is Colin Dowe, and I extend a warm welcome and a gratitude for your joining us this Monday evening. So whether you're tuning in from your homes, bars, cars, wherever you may be, GBN Television, GBN Radio, or any of our social media platforms, welcome to this evening's edition of Beyond the Headlines. And we are zooming in a little bit to the north this week. We are going to be focusing on Carriacou and Petite Martinique and the rebuilding effort that has been taking place over the last 4 months. It seems as much longer. And guests in studio, we have Minister of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs as well as local government, the Honorable Tevin. Minister, welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Excellent. And online, we have Mr. Lyndon Charles, and he is the Integrated Resource Recovery Manager of the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority. Lyndon, welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And Minister, I would obviously kick off with you. I have to do the calculation. I know, well, okay, 1st of July, we're in November, 7 from 11 is 4, but I know it probably feels like a lifetime. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It has been a roller coaster ride, but I'm doing fine. Of course, the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, most of us are still traumatized from the experience. As you rightfully said, it's 4 months, but it feels as though it's an eternity. Has been an eternity. But certainly a lot of progress has been made within that 4-month period.
Let's say people-centric and share a little bit about the psyche. You said traumatized, but give us a sense as to where the citizens are at this particular point in their lives and in the recovery process.
Well, you have to look at it this way. People in Carriacou, we are hardworking people in Carriacou. We're community-oriented, family-oriented. We work extremely hard. We are hard workers, and we work hard to build our society and work hard to build our homes and our community, etc., etc. And within a couple hours, that was destroyed. I mean, everything that you worked for so hard have been destroyed. Some people made a lot of sacrifice, traveled overseas, spent all their life over there working, come back, build, and all of that is gone. I mean, a good 98% of the island's housing stock was impacted by Hurricane Beryl. So certainly, that alone is traumatizing.
Right.
The fact that we've lost loved ones, and the fact that a number of deaths are as a result of the aftermath, if you want to put it that way, of Beryl is still affecting people.
Right.
So it's going to be a hard road to recovery for the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
You mentioned that, and I don't know, it's difficult to measure. So from a layman's perspective and doctoral evidence, would you say that you're seeing a lot of challenges post-Ivan, Beryl, because of the stress caused by the devastation, whether it's with the elderly or whether it's all other social fallout that's taking place within the communities?
Certainly, we have been seeing a lot of issues, and as I said, because of the effects, people are traumatized, people are shell-shocked. I recall for days, some people didn't know what to do or how to respond or to react, and in some cases, 4 months after, you still have people that are still shell-shocked, still traumatized. And even me as Minister and Member of Parliament, at times I pinch myself to ask myself, is this real?
Right.
But yeah, the good thing about it is that the government, through the Ministry of Social Development and other agencies, have been assisting us with psychosocial support. They've had boots on the ground since Beryl to help counsel and to meet people where they are, to bring support and so forth for people. But of course, as we go along, hopefully things are going to get better.
A few months ago, you were on record challenging the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique to get up and be participate in the recovery process. Are you seeing greater levels of cooperation?
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly. I must admit, after that, a number of people sort of, found themselves and sort of woke up, and we have seen a lot of people, getting boots on the ground and taking matters in their own hands and trying to, play their role and do their part to help with the recovery efforts on the island of Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Upon reflection, would you think that you are a little bit hard on the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique? And I ask this question from the standpoint that I can recall after Hurricane Ivan hit Grenada in 2004, we didn't respond either. We were shell-shocked on mainland Grenada. And the cleanup process was actually started by a company coming out of Trinidad. It really wasn't us. So it was not surprising to me to see the expression of trauma for the citizens of Carriacou and Petite Martinique in being slow to start that. So, upon reflection, were you a little bit harsh, or do you think that...
You have to explain the context in which you're referring to. I've always known to be someone that speaks my mind, and I've always been encouraging the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and of course I know that we can do better in spite of the difficulties and challenges that we face.
Okay.
So it depends on the context you're referring it to. But certainly, I'm happy the fact that 4 months after, we are making significant strides, better than where we were 4 months ago, 2 months ago.
How are the citizens coping? In the last 2 weeks, we have had unprecedented rainfall, it seems. And I, again, can recall just how challenging that is. You just cleaned up, you believe there's some normalcy is returning, and then the rains come. How are they coping with recent rains?
Well, they're coping. I mean, obviously, you would have the challenges when the rainfall for some people. But again, some people have made significant progress with the support that we've been giving them, with the material support, roofing support in particular. And so a number of people have put back their roofs, of course, with the supervision of the planning authority. So you also have that as well. So there are some good and some bad when the rain comes, because of course we also depend on the rain because we don't have rivers and streams. And
I am going to, because that is my next line of questions, really. One of access to water. How is water fully restored? Are people still depending on trucking for the most part? What is the water situation in Carriacou?
It's a twofold or threefold situation. So as most people may or may not know, we don't have any rivers and streams, etc. So we depend heavily on rain harvesting, harvesting rainwater, in our cisterns and tanks and etc. and so forth. Of course, Hurricane Beryl remove all the roofs, or the majority of roofs, so you don't have any water going into your catchment. As a result of that, that is posing a challenge, and hence we're giving the support to citizens in Carriacou, $15,000 roofing material per household to assist with roofing materials. I think we have spent close to $15 million so far in assisting the people of Petite Martinique and Carriacou with that support. In addition to that, we have also assisted in procuring black tanks, $1,000 gallons black tanks, ensuring that at least one tank per household. Depending on the size of the household, you would be given more, depending on the size. And of course, farmers too has benefited from this initiative. NAWASA is playing a major role in Carriacou as it relates to water. Thank God our desalination plant is functional, and to those people that are having difficulties, the NAWASA plant is there giving support. And NAWASA we are in conversation with NAWASA The intention is to set up another plant, and the intention is to beef up the present plant. So in time for dry season, we wouldn't be facing too much of a crisis.
So let's make a distinction between Carriacou and Petite Martinique now. In Petite Martinique, I know that there was a challenge with getting that desalination plant back online. Is it fully functional now?
It's fully functional. As a matter of fact, the plant in Petite Martinique is better than Carriacou. And in addition to that, there are more households. The majority of households in Petite Martinique are connected to the desalination plants.
So there is public distribution of water in Petite Martinique.
Correct.
So once the desal plant is up and running, everybody can get water.
That's correct.
Right. In Carriacou, I know there's some challenges to the north and west.
That's correct.
Of Carriacou.
There are some parts of the island, the northern part, that don't have access. The southern part, majority of the southern part do have access to it. Okay. However, the Nawas also provide a trucking service, and there are trucking services that will get the water from the desalination plant to the homes of people.
Is this a sustainable option? Because I know it comes at a cost. Either a cost to Nawasa, which I know for a few months was being borne by Nawasa, but if this is to be moved over to the households, it comes at a significant cost.
Yeah, so the water is really and truly, Nawasa is really taking a hit, because it's not a lot of money. I think it's a couple cents per gallon, a couple dollars per gallon of water. It really and truly is the trucking is what costs a lot of the money. Correct. But certainly we're able to cope for now, and if government needs to step in, because we understand it's not normal times. We understand that, and we understand the challenges that homeowners and the residents of Carriacou and Petite Martinique are faced with. So if it means that we have to step in to subsidize or to find a creative way to assist, we will certainly do so. But as for now, the residents have not been complaining. Nawasa certainly has not been complaining too much. And both Nawasa, my office, and of course the government will continue to work together to ensure that the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique have adequate running water and so forth. So
let me, just before I step away from the water, are you worried that if we have an early dry season, we'll be in trouble? So lots of rains November. If you don't have a roof, the systems will not be filled. If we're faced with a dry season that kicks in, let's say in February, would there be a major fallout, and what type of contingencies are being planned for that?
Well, Nawasa and the Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, along with the Ministry of Infrastructure, has a plan to deal with that. But I wouldn't panic, providing that the plant is operational. Okay. If the plant is not operational, then I'll panic. Right. So the manager, along with the chairman and the team, knows exactly what I'm saying if they're listening. But the plan is to ensure that the plant is fully operational throughout. As long as that happens, we'll be fine.
And you mentioned the adding of another desal plant. Would that correct? Any time frame for that coming up?
A time frame, we have not set the time frame as yet, because there have been significant delays with a number of things, funding, etc., etc. But hopefully it will be in time for the dry season. If not, there is a backup plan.
Okay, good. Yes. All right, Lyndon, if I can bring you on, and I know this was headache for the minister because he is minister and he is lead, but the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority has a big role to play in this area. So what is the primary role of the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority at this juncture?
Okay, so let's establish that we see ourselves as second-tier response in disaster management, and that comes from the aspect of the tied to human health. First tier being the support services that would go through the community, clear the roads, get everything in place so that not to further create human tragedy. Second tier being that we now have to get the waste management and communal waste sector up and running, which we did do, and that is to avoid the commingling of disaster debris with the communal waste. And that is to, as stated, not exacerbate the problem of mixing, because post-disaster, with disorientation and all of these things, you have to have a clear sight as to what's mixed in, because you may have dead animals, debris, waste, and so on in place. With that, we would have then established sorting and collection centers, which we would have seen at the various playing fields. And that is to segment the different waste types as well as activate all communities at the same time. And the aim for that is that we're not trying to be in a situation where we have to tell community A they have to wait months or weeks for community B before we get to them. Get everyone activated and acclimatized, and then we start to break down the process.
Okay.
Now at the
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Now at the further stage, we'll be looking to then aggregate the materials at the Harveyvale playing field. You'll see that happen within the next 2 weeks. Within this time frame, however, we've been making strategic procurements and partnerships to then be able to both recycle the materials as well as be in a position for nationally to be able to respond. Because I did notice that you said previously, we always had to wait for external assistance. Where somewhat, as a region, we do depend on each other. One of the things we saw fit to do is to be able to create a national ability to be able to do so.
Okay.
So you would see various machinery and so on coming on island for us to be in a better position.
You mentioned Harveyvale as of course, a main collection area. What losses were suffered because of the fire at Harveyvale?
Okay. So just to put that into context, so that's currently under investigation by the various authorities. But just to state, the reason for sorting the materials is that as we advance as a society, you'll find there's different material types and waste types that need to be managed. For example, construction and demolition waste, organic lumber versus treated lumber. So what would have happened that we'd have seen the fire dealing with the treated lumber, the issues that possibly creates is that you now have carcinogens in the atmosphere, fibers in the atmosphere. So it's by no means a minimal thing that occurred there. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that would have endangered or put at risk the people in the vicinity within that community.
Okay, but no loss per se was suffered by the solid waste by way of equipment or anything like that?
No, the various contractors who had equipment, as far as I'm aware, at that facility were able to move it in time. So, for example, there were backhoes that were actually within the vicinity of the fire, and the individuals were able to get it out.
Okay.
So, we were able to mitigate that loss.
What are the storage sites at this point? We know Harveyvale. Where else is being used as storage sites?
So, Harveyvale, Hillsborough, Dowe, and Mount Pleasant. That's the last one.
That's all in Carriacou. What about Petite Martinique?
Right, and the Petite Martinique, the playing field behind, I believe, is a police station. So we actually started to remove material from there early on up in the year in conjunction with the MIT to remove some galvanized and various debris out of that vicinity.
Okay.
And that would have been in keeping with monitoring the situation with various developing weather patterns and so on.
Okay. What is the removal schedule now? You spoke of consolidating in Harveyvale. Right. What is the removal schedule? Because it seems as though there is progress taking place.
Right. So now that we have over 90% collection at the various locations, we move within the next 2 weeks to consolidate the materials at the Harveyvale location. And the next step after that would be then to, as the machinery is on island, because we did see some challenges in getting the various strategic machinery, and that has to do with the scale and type of machinery that we were looking at. So January being the move to process and then recycle with our partner Cadwell that we're working with to do the recycling program.
Okay, explain what this means. So we've been collecting, we can Mount Pleasant, Dowe, of course Harveyvale, Hillsborough, etc. You say within the next 2 weeks we'll be looking to consolidate in Harveyvale. Is it that we've been moving material out of Carriacou, or are we going to see just bigger sites, a bigger heap in Harveyvale? What will we see?
That's right. So let me add one more aspect to it. Now that we're seeing at the stage with insurance and people have actually, as Minister has stated, started to move their various C&D, which is construction and demolition, white goods out. We're asking, now that we're looking to shut down those other fields and aggregate that you take within the next 2 weeks to bring it to either those fields or the Harvey Vale location. Once those fields are shut, Harvey Vale location will be the only place to bring that material. That's in construction demolition, the wood, the white goods, and so on. Now, processing the material. So we have a collection of metals, which would be everything from the galvanized and the various alloys. We have the construction and demolition, which also has ferrous or iron mixed in with it, and so on. And the machinery that we have procured will be able to process and then have us remediate those materials. And this is going with the step towards a major recycling within the Tri-Island state, because disaster debris tends to be a shock towards a landfill. Okay, because especially an engineered landfill, which we have as a finite resource. What's happening is that, for example, with the Dumfries and the size of that landfill, we're looking to then take those materials, ship it out, have some level of recovery of the funds to be able to put back into the communities. So that's with the galvanized, that's with the white goods, and so forth, and the freon and refrigeration gases.
All right, so we'll definitely go in a little bit more to that later on, but if you can just share what lessons were learned that are now being implemented. So what lessons did the solid waste learn, let's say in Ivan, missteps or good practices that are now being implemented as we look at the recovery for Beryl?
Right. So the movement to waste management, and waste management, just to give it context, it revolves around resource management, trade, and strategic machinery. The move towards recycling also those machinery lends itself towards disaster response, which is why we're able to execute as part of one of our tenants and the investments made towards that. Post-Ivan, now, I'll have to speak from a perspective of that I wasn't at the authority at the time, but part of our strategic plan is to develop local capability to respond within these disasters, as well as leverage the waste management sector in that response.
Okay, all right, thank you. Minister, imagine that the reduced access to the recreational sites is an issue.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when will the public regain control? I think that was one of my questions. Yeah. When will the public regain control of these areas, in your estimation, recognizing within 2 weeks we're looking at the closing of the sites for collection? When do you imagine the public will get control of those sites?
So first of all, let me just make this abundantly clear. Yeah. I too was not in support of putting having our playing field used as dump sites, but our technical team sat and we surveyed Carriacou in terms of where can be the best place to put all of this debris. You're talking about 98% of the island.
Right.
The housing stock devastated, a lot of debris. It couldn't be, we couldn't place it in one playing field or one area. It had to be put in multiple areas. And of course, government has challenges with lands. And some of the lands that we have available are not suitable. Right. It's wetlands, and then that's dealing with an environmental issue and other matters. The trucks, the heavy equipment would not be able to go in those areas. So we had no other choice but to use the playing fields. So where are we? Not all of the playing fields were utilized. Okay. So in Martinique, the playing field is still operational. Right. In the Lawrenson Stadium, that playing field is still operational. Correct. Still have access. Dowe, not all of Dowe was utilized. So that area, it's a big enough area, it could be utilized. Okay. But I am happy, and I've been pushing our colleague Minister James and the solid waste team. I've been had on a lot of agencies and departments and solid waste management management is one of those. And I'm being hard only because I want to push this thing and get have us recover in the shortest possible time frame. I'm pushing for a year and a half to get back to some sense of normalcy. Others are telling me, no, we have to give us 2 years or even more. But we know that we're in this for the long haul. But long story short, I'm happy that in 2 weeks or so time, the collection points will be shut down, and Harveyville will be the only one, which will give us enough time to start the process of resuscitating those playing fields. So the Ministry of Sports, Minister of Sport, Honorable Delma Thomas, and our Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs have already started strategizing in terms of which playing fields we're going to start with, and to start resuscitating them as soon as possible and upgrading them better than they were pre-burial. So certainly there's already a plan for playing fields and upgrading them.
So we're looking at seating, we're looking at lights.
We're looking at everything.
Okay.
We're looking at everything. Obviously, everything won't happen right away because it's a process. We have to resuscitate the ground and regrade, resurface, whatever you, and then the process of bleachers and lights and so forth.
Okay. Lyndon, I know you wanted to add something.
Right. Just to the minister's point. So prior to being solid waste, the question tends to come up: why the playing fields? Now, as stated earlier, post-disaster, the aim is to abate or avoid further human health risk and so on. Playing fields being the open area that allows for sorting and processing. Now, one of the major procurements we have made will be a trommel screen. And what that is to remediate the field. And that filters the soil, removes the metals as a magnet, as well to bring it back to a safe condition. So there is a plan, and the relevant and strategic machinery has been procured for us to be able to bring everything back better, as the minister would have stated, and be able to execute the rules we need to.
You said procured, and I know money is always a problem. So was it monies in the coffers of solid waste that was able to procure those, or did we have assistance from international agencies?
It would have been within the government of Grenada would have made the allocation to be able to procure the equipment and to be able to make that investment towards future sustainability and future capability for us to be able to handle a disaster.
Minister, supplemental budget?
Your tax dollars.
Okay, all right.
And let me just make this point, because I know a lot of people believe the government got a lot of money from somewhere. The reality is the funds that we've got from the CRIF, which you and our tax dollars have been paying the premium for years, is what's being used. But the CRIF payout was what? $118 million. The supplemental budget was $260-something million. Right. So you understand. The monies that are being used for the recovery efforts in Carriacou and Petite Martinique and the northern part of Grenada is really and truly your tax dollars, the local funds that are mostly being used, and of course a few countries, our regional partners and brothers and sisters, along with a few people in the diaspora who've made significant donations.
How has people honored their pledges? I know when a disaster comes, we all rush to pledge. Have we been collecting on those pledges?
We're hoping that after the COP meeting, that probably some of the bigger countries that talk about climate justice and talk about all this glossy, nice plans will actually put their money where their mouth is. Because the reality is that their actions is we are the ones that are feeling the effects of their actions.
And I know Prime Minister has been speaking quite a bit about climate justice. We heard the passionate plea from Carriacouian, who is the climate change czar, Simon Steele. Heard that plea as well. Are we hopeful that there can be some transfers coming out of this, and it's not just conversations and talk,
like what happened
since COP20, and we're now at COP29?
Correctly. We're hoping that there will be some real action.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're about to take our first break, and when we come back, I just want to hear about the agencies that assisted Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and if there are any still boots on the ground from outside. Viewers and listeners, we'll be right back.
Have You heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
And so it begins. A journey like none other. Every moment has the potential to be unforgettable. Bring home a piece of the tropical green forest with every emerald. Capture the sparkling light of flawless water in a diamond. Make the sunrise and sunsets last forever. With precious colored gemstones, the essence of happiness is in our most precious memories. So, when it all comes to an end, bring home something that will last forever. Colombian Emeralds International. Bring home more than a memory.
Tourism is me. Tourism is you. Tourism is everybody, and tourism connects us all.
Did you know that tourism generates revenue and foreign exchange earnings?
Did you know it stimulates infrastructural development and facilitates cultural exchange among people?
You must know tourism is linked to all industries,
from agriculture to construction.
So support the industry today and be welcoming to all our visitors.
Tourism is my business. Tourism is your business. Tourism is our business. Listen one and all. Tourism connects us all.
A message from the Ministry of Tourism
and the Grenada Tourism Authority.
Spend $50 or more at any Hubbard's department or participating outlets for a chance to win free fuel, free drinks, free prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free Hub TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free Dutch Lady milk, free passes to Sunshine promotion events for 2024, free groceries, all for 1 whole year. And every winner receives a free lunch package. But that's not all. Drive away in style in a brand new Isuzu D-Max. It sips, it doesn't guzzle. So fill out your entries and place them into the marked entry boxes. This promotion is brought to you in part by Dutch Lady, Danny, Promo, Supreme Bleach, Creative Chef, Grenlac, Floor, Salt Petroleum, Grenadian General Insurance Company Limited, Coca-Cola, Sunshine Promotion, Caribouries, Coop Bag, Sesame Spain, and Food Fear. Promotion runs from April 2nd to December 24. Terms and conditions apply.
Black Friday come around. We are the best prices in town. Black Friday starts now at cost. Yeah, it's back. God's Black Friday. I tell you, hurry fast. Traffic on the highway. You know we got unbeatable prices. And furniture, electronics, and appliances. Are you coming? Say yeah. Weekly prices. Biggest and best deals of the season. Shop and credit to win big. And pay nothing until next year, February. Rock out and come down to court. Cuts already load. Cuts already load. Black Friday start. Cuts already load. And go when Black Friday come out.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. We're speaking the recovery of Carriacou and Petite Martinique post-Hurricane Beryl. Minister, Are there still international agencies, boots on the ground in Carriacou, assisting with the recovery effort?
Most of the regional and international agencies has left. However, their work has really assisted us in putting a number of structures in place and has allowed us to have a flawless process. As a matter of fact, they were very impressed with the level of how we manage and handle the aftermath of the hurricane and system that we managed to put in place. They were very impressed, taking into consideration that we were all new to this. We've never experienced anything like this in our lifetime. Grenada, yes, but certainly not us in Carriacou. So people like the teams like Sidima, etc., have really assisted us.
Speak to us and let's go. You mentioned Sidima. We know Samaritan Purse.
You had World Central Kitchen. You had a number of organizations who came on board to assist in different ways, and we appreciate all the support that they have given to the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Samaritan Purse came hours after the devastation of Hurricane Beryl and managed to bring much needed supplies, and of course to set up a mobile, not a mobile, but a hospital, a temporary hospital. The fact that our hospital and the 4 of our clinics were destroyed or damaged, badly damaged. Only one health facility, which is the Hillsborough Health Center, was operational. And of course, the Petite Martinique Health Center was somewhat operational. The roof, of course, gone, but they managed to operate downstairs. But yes, but it was a very challenging time, and all of these organizations that came in really assisted us in a massive way. And of course, we cannot say thank you enough. The Guyana Defense Force, who did a marvelous job in Carriacou. They came in days after to do an assessment on the People's Building, if you want to put it that way, and strategic buildings that we have identified. And a week or two later, they came back with their team, and of the teams of carpenters, masons, and so on that are part of the Guyana Defense Force. And they came and assisted us. The police station is restored. Our ministry building is restored. The administrative building is restored. Hillsborough Secondary School, where they were staying, was restored. They provide building materials for the residents and a number of other things. So we really appreciate all of the sacrifices that all the various organizations and our regional partners have contributed.
Give us an update on the health sector. Are the hospitals, we're back at...
Listen, I am still shocked that 4 months after, it was 3.5 months after the hospital, we managed to reopen the hospital. The roof was completely gone. There's one section of the hospital roof which was a casualty that wasn't impacted as bad as. But the majority of the hospital roof was gone, and majority of the equipment and so on, everything was damaged due to the constant, the rainfall, etc. However, the hospital is now back up and running, fully functional. 3.5 months after. So again, this is record-breaking, and again, it's your tax dollars that paid for the work that was done on the hospital. Work is currently being done on the health centers. I believe that work should have started today, Monday. So the contractors should have been on site setting up the Leicester, Windward, Petite Martinique, Mount Pleasant health centers. They should be there doing their assessments to start the necessary work that has to be done.
Okay.
So hopefully, in 2 months' time, by January, hopefully, we should be opening our health centers, our district health centers. So again, that's progress.
It is.
Schools are reopened, and schools got a hard hit. Haverville government is fully operational, but they got a hard hit. Leicester got a hard hit, and mind you, all those schools are shelters, hurricane shelters. But they're now operational. The repairs work was done. Work is currently being done in Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant was the second most damaged school, if you want to put it that way. And work is currently being done in that school. Dowe is completely destroyed, and there are plans to rebuild Dowe.
So do we have children under 10s or alternative locations, and if so, from which schools?
Mount Mount Pleasant government, the students are on the tents, and Dowe government, students are on the tents there. But we, as a ministry, as a member of parliament, my role is to ensure that the teachers and the students are as comfortable as possible. There was some issues with one of the schools, Dowe in particular. I heard the concerns. I met with the Petite, the Parent Teachers Associations. We dealt with the matter. Now they're happy as can be with the temporary situation until we deal with the permanent situation.
Okay. How are we going to be securing funds for the rebuilding of that scene that was completely destroyed?
Interestingly, there are a number of organizations who put their hands up and said they are interested in financing the rebuilding.
Okay.
But the Ministry of Education and of course Cabinet has to make a decision in terms of what our vision is for Dowe Government School. Would it be the first technical school on island? Would it be building it back in the normal sense of things? So we are still tweaking and trying to make the best decision. But hopefully that decision will be made in the soonest possible time frame.
I'll stick to education because you know my leaning and bias. So we're back. Hillsborough Sec, Bishop's College, TAMCC. Give us an update there.
TAMCC, I met with the council some time ago, and I met with the principal and some staff members about a week and a half ago. We have some exciting plans, TAMCC Carriacou. The intention is that we rebuild and we offer more services in Carriacou for the students of Carriacou, Petite, Martinique, and of course the Grenadines.
Right.
Focusing on a number of interesting areas that we are very much interested in, like marine studies, taking into consideration that we have 2 marinas and we are boat building island. We have more captains per capita than any other island.
I know you're exporting captains, right? I was traveling through the BVI recently, and when I went on board, I saw a familiar face. And Carriacou was from.
Correct.
Right.
So yes. So focusing on those studies, the technical studies, taking into for example, now with the rebuilding efforts, realizing that we really and truly don't have much technical people on island. Mind you, it's not only Carriacou that's facing the issue; it's also Grenada, and even also our original brothers and sisters. But certainly technical studies and other areas that will really and truly help build the economy of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Those are the studies that we want to focus on.
Okay. So we're looking at a new campus, essentially. Whether it's at 6 Roads or elsewhere?
At 6 Roads.
At 6 Roads.
So new campus, most study areas being offered. So that's the area. It will be a transformative project, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, and how are we with Bishop's College and Hillsborough Sec? Those students are back in school, fully operational? Back in school, fully operational.
Bishop's College is still some work that has to be done because it was newly built. Beryl did her number on Bishop's.
Right.
However, it's operational, fully operational, but there are some of the technical wings that are under construction as we speak.
Okay. Lyndon, coming over to you, and you did mention that one of the charges of solid waste was to minimize any health fallout. I'm asking you at this stage, is there any concern of any health issues during this recovery process as regards to the debris, etc., things that fall within your remit as Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority?
So no, because we were able to successfully establish the separation areas and the playing fields in short order. That's one of the reasons that we had to move in there. The only item I would say that would raise a question mark would have been the recent fire in terms of it being uncontrolled. Because not too far from that fire, there's a fuel substation, and there's also the community at large around that facility. So once again, that was by no means something to minimize.
Okay.
Materials such as let's say what you would consider a refrigerator.
But let me deliberately go into this, is, because it sounds as though solid waste this time around not only have the resource management officer in yourself. I don't believe that position existed 20 years ago, but as you also seem to have a disaster waste management contingency plan, which is something that is advised. Am I correct in making that assumption?
Yes, and we're moving further into that area. I believe, just to give you a point, the ministry has made the largest investment this time around within the last 20 years in infrastructure and machinery towards both waste management, and then which then lends itself to disaster waste management.
So speak to us in terms of how you will be handling, let's say, yard waste. And yard waste, I say yard waste, but I believe you spoke of untreated the lumber, etc., so the fallen trees, etc. How will we be managing that?
So just to give you an example, there's the organics and then there's treated lumber.
Right.
With the procurement of a large, low-speed shredder, we're able to process that and break it down into then what we can use as mulch in those cases. In other cases, remove whatever valuable materials, and what is absolutely end of life, then we landfill. The other materials, we then put that into the recycling process, and then for recovery.
Okay. Let's move to. Yes, I'm going to bulky now. So bulky material. So the furniture, the carpet, the bedding, the treated lumber. So not the organics. How are we managing those?
Right, so the shredder can shred pretty much everything. So waste reduction with the particular machine that we were able to procure, and more details will come as we move forward with that. We're able to do waste reduction as much as 50%.
Okay.
So that lends itself to landfill extension, because landfilling space being a finite resource, that also goes a long way, not just as stated for disaster response, because that's a shock to a treated landfill. It's also lends itself to regular operations outside of the season.
Right. The C&D, so the construction and demolition material, how are we treating with that?
Right, so once again, the shredder can handle pretty much all of that. So
is it one shredder? Because I'm starting to get worried about the amount of work for this shredder. Is it multiple?
Right, so part of the reason, so it's not just a shredder, it's a shredder, trommel, and various supporting machinery. Part of the reason why it was spec'd the way it was spec'd and the sizing of the machinery was to give enough overhead to get it done fast and get it done right.
Okay.
So it's not by no means a small machine.
All right.
It's one of the largest in the world. So part of some of the challenges we've been seeing is to get those things here.
Okay, understood. Let's deal with it. Okay. So when it arrives at the island will know.
The island will know.
All right. The hazardous material, because of course that's part of it. The oil, the fuel, etc. How are we treating with that?
Okay, so the Freon, as we commissioned the ozone recollection unit at the recycling center in Queen's Park, we would have started to make visits to both Petite, Martinique and Carriacou to collect the gas from the refrigerants and the refrigerators. That is because of the potency that it cannot be vented to atmosphere. We're working to further develop the capacity to train people on how to store and handle it. And then those also can be recycled. So the Freon has value, the oils have value, and there are various other initiatives that we're working on. The terminology I would use would be a full life cycle approach to recycling, and that means from importer, manufacturer, useful life, and end of life.
Okay.
And what recycling means within that context is at which stage do we reintroduce a material or a resource into the cycle or the stages.
Okay. The next group.
Very much getting into what people perceive as not just waste management, but resource management.
Right. Electronics. My television, my etc. That would spoil washing machine, white goods.
Economy of scale is one of the things that we are all have an issue with in our region, small island developing states. What we are and that is also one of the major sources of landfill fires. okay, as well as the exotic materials within those types of equipment. Lithium-ion batteries are volatile and all of these things. We're in the process of working with our partners to start to develop a shipping program to ship that out of the country. It's not economic or wise for us to invest in a processing plant for say to break down. So when I say waste management involves trade, resource management, and all of these things, it is very much that.
Okay, so when it comes to the electronics, the white goods, we're looking to ship those out because of the dangers and again economies of scale.
Yes.
Okay. And the last category that I want to address is scrap metal. How are we addressing that?
Right. So the initial baler we would have had is over 24 years old. As part of the procurement within this allotment is a baler. You'll see a very large baler come on island shortly as well to then bale and cube the galvanized as well as the various metals going forward. And coming back to an extension of what we're already doing with MIT in terms of the beautification projects, this is now to put, once again, the full life cycle approach to cars, metals, and so on. So coming back to the same processes we're applying to recycling, we're introducing to the disaster response side of things, because there's synergy between the machinery and operations.
Okay. So are we going to be crushing and shipping out the cars, etc. as well?
Yes, the galvanized and all that. And that's part of cost recovery within the recycling.
Okay. Is there any regulation governing the way that you operate and the way that we function during this disaster management to ensure that we protect our environment and that we handle debris, etc. appropriately?
So that would be separate and apart from the normal flow of actions. Part of the reason why we're very much present is because we do not believe that there should be a difference in terms of how we operate, which is once again coming back to the synergy of things. There are various structures that apply in disaster response in terms of security, access, and so on, but we're very much trying to have it as part of our regular operation.
Okay.
To make it standard best practice.
All right. Minister, let me just come to you, the rebuilding process. How is it going? You said 98% of the housing stock was devastated, damaged or destroyed. Where are we, if you to give a ballpark figure, in terms of, let's go re-roofing at a minimum?
I can't give an actual percentage, but certainly a large number of homeowners have started the process right after burial. In some instances, started the process of roofing, rebuilding their roof, without even waiting on government's support.
Right.
So that's commendable. And of course, since government started its response to assist homeowners, a number of homeowners have started.
What is the primary source of funding for the rebuilding process? I mean, and I'm asking this, were homes insured, or are people now dipping into resources that they had put away, or depending on government?
The vast majority is dipping into their pockets and also depending on the government support.
Okay.
I would say a good 90+% of the people have dipped into their pockets. The ones that are rebuilding now or doing the reconstruction to the roofs are dipping into their pockets and depending on the support from government.
What has been government's pledge in terms of number of families, number of homes that government has pledged to rebuild Carriacou and Petite Martinique?
We are certainly working out those details, but what I can tell you is that a number of homes are being constructed by the government for individuals who have lost their homes. There's a policy that we're working with, Build Back Better. And also we have 200 prefab homes that are also coming.
Right.
We've started the procurement process for those, and we have a charitable organization out of Trinidad and Tobago that are on the ground in Carriacou as we speak, setting up 27 prefab homes as well. So government provided lands and all the other support. and the charitable organization has come to set it up. So that's what.
If you are to vision, how many homes do you anticipate would be needed? Are we talking, because you have a population between Carriacou and Petite Martinique of what, 8,000, 9,000?
Roughly
Right.
there, less.
Right, okay. So how many homes we are looking at?
Well, certainly for Petite Martinique, for sure.
Right.
The total homes that were destroyed is about 70-something.
Right.
That was totally destroyed.
Yeah.
But you have 1 or 2 homes that are standing.
Right.
But they're structurally, the integrity of the structure has been compromised. So obviously you have to knock it down, and that's you're talking about a few here and there. So let's say in all for Petite Martinique is 100+ homes,
right?
And of course they have homes that are structurally sound, but the roof is gone, and there's a lot of issues as it relates to that. So you're talking about a couple hundreds or even a couple thousand homes when you put Carriacou and Petite Martinique together, because Petite Martinique only have about 500+ people and roughly about 300 and something homes.
Right. How are we looking at, by way of whether it's the prefab or whether the group out of Trinidad, how are we identifying individuals that would need the assistance? What do they have to put up in order to get that assistance?
As it stands now, the Ministry of Social Development, along with the Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, is doing the assessment. People apply or make a request, an assessment is done, and then from there, a selection process is done. So the focus really and truly is with the elderly, of course, women with children, vulnerable households. That's the focus for now. What do they have to put up? If they have lands, if they have existing, if they have lands, the structure.
Is it land that I hold the title for,
yes,
or is it land that I can rent, or is it land that is a family land? I've been living here. Would you put it up?
Well, currently working with the lands that you have, or of course you have access to, and of course for those people that are having additional challenge, the government, we found some lands, and we've managed to get some lands and about 30 acres of lands, 30 acres, and we've started the process of cutting it up into lot sizes, and some of the prefabs from Trinidad and some of the prefabs that will be coming later on will be built there. So
okay. Who will own in that case? Because we're talking government lands, government providing the housing. What type of contractual arrangement will we be making with these home occupiers? You will tell me.
No contractual arrangements. They've lost their homes. They're vulnerable. The government is providing this homes for the people that are displaced.
So they will get the home and land and get title to home and land, so it now becomes theirs.
Correct.
Okay. All right, viewers and listeners, it's time for our final break, so we'll take that break and we'll be right back to speak some sectorial interests, agriculture, the economy of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and of course, we would want to hear from you.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Good day, Mr. James. I'm just here looking at Grenlec's new mobile app.
Sounds great. Can I use it to check my bill balance?
Absolutely. Let me show you. Enter your account number and Grenlec access number, and that's it. You can now check your balance, track your usage, receive outage alerts, and get updates from Grenlec in real time. You can even use the app to report a power outage or a fault with a pole or street light. Add as many accounts as you want. Track your business account, apartment rentals, and Granny's account, all in one convenient place.
Thanks, Susan. I'll be telling everyone I know about Grenlec's new app.
The Grenlec mobile app. Download for 24/7 access.
Win big in the ACB season of joy and rewards.
Oh, joy, joy, joy and rewards. It's the season to enter and win what's yours. Have your loan payments wiped away for a year, bringing the joy of Christmas to you. We know that you're ready for the holidays. The $500 weekly giveaway. Oh, joy, joy, joy and rewards. With ACB season of joy and rewards. For the weeks leading up until Christmas. Take a loan into now and win with us. Oh, joy, joy, joy and rewards. With ACB season of joy and rewards.
Terms and conditions apply.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
Christmas is all about the moments we share, the smiles, the laughter, and the love that fills our homes. This season, let your walls reflect the warmth of family time. Sisson's Paint, match with every shade of togetherness. Celebrate 12 weeks of Christmas with Sissons. Buy one, get one 30% off on selected items. And with every purchase of any Sissons Paint, you get a chance to win US $100 every week for 12 weeks, from October 1st to December 22nd. Terms and conditions apply. Available at all Sissons hardware dealers nationwide. Sissons, internationally tested, brilliantly affordable.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. We're speaking of the recovery and rebuilding of Carriacou and Petite, Martinique. We certainly would want to hear from you, so feel free to call in. We have the Minister of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government, as well as Mr. Lyndon Charles from the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority. Minister, we spoke water. Let's speak Grenlec. Is electricity back and most of the homes, buildings now with power?
Yes, and let me use this opportunity to commend the leadership of Grenlec, in particular the general manager and our local manager in Carriacou, Wallace Collins, but most importantly the men that are on the front line, the linesmen, the people that have the boots on the ground, and also commend the regional partnership with Domlec and Lucilec and all the other electricity companies within the regions who came to Carriacou and Petite Martinique to assist us. I mean, the truth is, Grenlec said to the manager said to me, he said, Minister Boy, you know, we got a hard hit, and I am not sure how soon we'll be able to restore the electricity on the island. But we might be able to try something within 3 months. Maybe it may not be the entire island, but we'll see what we can do. And before 3 months, before the 3-month period came, almost every corner of Carriacou had electricity. No, not every household had electricity, because you understand the challenge. No roof, you can't get the electricity. But every village, every nook and cranny in Carriacou and Petite Martinique has electricity. I remember it was a week after burial, days after burial, there was electricity. So the hard-working men from Grenlec must be commended. All of them who have pulled away, and the folks from mainland, the workers from Grenada who also came up to assist, them also must be commended. So Grenlec gets an A+ with the response with this disaster. Must be commended, highly, highly commended.
All right, let's speak of the economy of Carriacou and that rebuilding process. Let's focus on agriculture. I'm certain agriculture took a hit. What are the mainstay products of agriculture within Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and how is that rebuilding process going?
You're correct. Agriculture has taken a hard hit, both fisheries and livestock, crop farming. We depend a lot on fishing, and depend a lot on livestock. The government response to the hard hit sector is supporting our fishermen. How did we support our fishermen? As a matter of fact, today I made a post. Over $2 million has been paid out to our fishermen. That's the first response to boat owners whose boats were damaged. 50% of the damage, government will take care of that cost. So we've actually transferred those funds to the farmer, to the fishermen accounts. And additional supports will come as we go. That's as a direct result of response to burial. To our farmers, they've also gotten a payout of income support, and there's some additional support that is also coming.
Let's break down the farmers and that response. So those in livestock, because what are we talking?
It was across the board for farmers. Across the board, $4,500 across the board for both the livestock and crop farmers.
It's a one-off or?
One-off income support.
Okay.
But as I said, additional support is coming for our livestock and crop farmers. Support such as feed. As a matter of fact, they've already started receiving the feed support, planting support. They'll be receiving some animals for the livestock farmers and plant support for the crop farmers, and material support to build back their pens and fencing wire to fence back their gardens, etc., etc. So we are working with our local farmers to ensure that we get the sector back up and running as soon as possible, and to support them in every possible way, like the income support to our farmers and so on. So we are trying our best. And this is 4 months after the devastation. I don't think that much farmers, fishermen, and so on after disaster has received any payout like this or support like this from any government. Maybe I stand to be corrected, but I think the farmers and fishermen of Carriacou and Petite Martinique are very, very happy with the level of support that they have been receiving from the government so far. And what do we see? Are boats back in the water? Are they out in the ocean fishing? I know you said 50% support. Were they able to raise the additional 50% to get their boats back, to get the engines that would be damaged, etc.? Well, the truth is, for the fishermen, the support has only recently started coming in. So some of them have taken it upon their own to raise the funds and are going out, but the majority still have some work to do. So with the support that is coming in now, we'll certainly be able to assist them in getting back on their feet. And go ahead, Lyndon.
Right, the support. So Soldaris has been working with company IAL in terms of bringing back beached vessels, some of the larger vessels, from the various reefs and the beaches that they were beached on. So there's added support there, and persons were able to reclaim their vessels. Others which were sunken, we would have taken to the landfill, and they still have an option to come provide proof of ownership, and then they can reclaim accordingly. What were those numbers like, Lyndon?
What were those numbers like? Because I was about to move on to tourism, and one of the things that we saw was the damage to yacht. Even if they were in by Oyster Bay, they saw the damage to yachts. So what type of devastation by way of numbers are we seeing in terms of boats that were beached on reefs, etc.?
30 plus boats.
30 plus. Okay, and are we talking now within Oyster Bay or just around Carriacou, Petite, Martinique?
Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Okay, and you're saying that
the vessel is actually now down on the Grenada side at Calavini doing same, because we've wrapped up those operations in Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
So you're able to remove those beached or those on, whether it's on reefs or whatever sunk, you're able to remove them?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I'm going to stay underwater a little bit. Any indication as to the damage to yourself or Minister, reefs, the oyster bed, etc., because I'm segueing into the tourism sector for Carriacou?
The damage has been has been a huge damage there. As a matter of fact, we are conducting an assessment with our reefs and so on, but they've taken a hard pounding as a result of the hurricane, including the oyster bed. Surprisingly, I mean, the oyster bed is used as a shelter,
yes,
for boats during storms, and this time around it didn't work.
Oh gosh.
It didn't work at all. Sandy Island. It's the waves, the water is basically running through Sandy Island. It's basically somewhat split in half. The other day, Prime Minister, Minister for MIT, and a few others took a tour just to see for ourselves the devastation.
And that's again because this is Sandy Island has finally returned.
This is about the third time, and it has. I agree. Finally came back after. I think I can't recall. Was it Ivan or something?
It was one of the storm surges.
Yeah.
I think might have been pre-Ivan.
Yeah, so we have those things to deal with, and so as I said, a study is being conducted now, and hopefully after those studies, recommendations will be made as it relates to how we try and resuscitate. But we'll certainly get there.
We talk about building back better. So how are we going to look at this tourism sector in Carriacou and Petite Martinique in order to rebuild? There's little you can do about Sandy Island, right? We plant the coconut trees, etc., and it's a matter of time because I don't believe you'll be ferrying in sand.
But I'm sure there are other things that could be done to do it. But let the professionals. I'm not a professional when it comes to that.
Right.
Professionals will guide and will create a policy and implement.
For those of us who like visiting Carriacou hotels, where are we in terms of the rebuilding of our hotels?
But before we even go to the hotels, let me just say that one of the things that I've been advocating for Carriacou was an underwater sculpture park. And there's the underwater sculpture park is twofold. One, it's like an artificial reef,
right,
which attracts fish and other creatures on there and so on. And two, of course, it's an attraction site.
Right.
People come dive. People come to Grenada to dive the underwater sculpture park in Grenada. Spend millions of dollars every year. People spend to get here for that, to experience that. The intention is we create that same experience in Carriacou so that people can visit the island,
right,
and so there's an added attraction. And of course, the launch should have taken place in July, because everything came beforehand. Of course, Beryl came, so we did it after. And there's a plan as it relates to night landing and renaming of our airport that will accommodate the night landing to the Lawrence and soon to be H.E. Blaise Airport. All of that was tying into our tourism product and trying to assist in building the tourism industry in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Obviously, Beryl came, but as it relates to the hotel industry in Carriacou, the hotel and guest houses, the government through the GDB has provided some support there, and hopefully we are encouraging hoteliers and the business community to take advantage of those soft loans / grants that are available there. But a few hotels have started, coming back on stream so far.
So in other words, I still have to take a day excursion to Carriacou if I'm come to dive the sculpture park, or you have to put me up?
Well, you have one or two hotels like the Mermaid Tavern, the Mermaid Tavern, and a few others that are operational. But certainly we have a long way to go as it relates to getting back normalcy, if you want to put it that way. But yes, in the meantime, if the room stock is not there, you'd have to just book a day excursion and come back.
You know, I was saying if the room stock is not there, I can come by Minister. That was hoping to hear.
But my door is always open. You can certainly come.
I would always argue that if I am to pick the top 5 restaurants in the state of Grenada, at least 2 of them will be in Carriacou. Are our restaurants back up and running? I'm refraining from calling names.
Three of our main restaurants are back up and running. The Paradise Beach, the Paradise Beach Club is back up and running. Alison Keaton and her team. I was there for the launch a couple of days ago. So that's commendable. You have Sleepway that is back, and Las Iguanas.
Slipway is in the Harveyville area.
Slipway and Las Iguanas, both in the Harveyville area. So that's 3. The 4th is Bogle's Roundhouse.
Okay, so you called them. I didn't call them. Minister called them.
So they're operational, and you know. So I'm extremely happy for that, because of course jobs are being created, opportunities are being created. Food, people don't have to worry too much about food anymore, to a large extent, especially in the evening for dinner and so forth. But during the day, it's still a little challenge for them. And of course, you have Lorina's, the Jock Center, is also back up and operational. So we are getting there, slowly but surely. We are getting there one step at a time. We are getting there. And a lot of these businesses are doing it on their own strength. So it speaks about our resilience as a community and as a people. So I'm happy about that. And certainly most of them have started receiving support from the GDB as well. With the government policy in terms of putting in $25 million into GDB so that the businesses can have access to soft loans.
One of the things we're always fearful of post-disaster is how our lives change. We lose businesses, we lose industries. Is there any particular business or industry at this point that you're worried about that would take too long to come back on stream or may disappear altogether?
Listen, I'm an aggressive person. I'm working along with all our the businesses in Carriacou and Petite to ensure we don't lose anyone. Yes, it's a fear, but I'm trying to ensure that all of them get the necessary support that they need so that they can reopen in the shortest possible time frame, and that we don't lose any business opportunities. As a matter of fact, what the interesting thing is, we have been getting a lot of Carriacou and Petite has now been exposed to the world. As a result of that, everybody have seen paradise, and a lot of people have been coming to Carriacou and Petite to look at business opportunities. So you have a lot of people that are interested in opening businesses in Carriacou and Petite. So that's one. But certainly, as it relates to your question, yes, I am concerned, but I am working along with the business sector to ensure that we don't lose anybody, and that whatever support that they need, as long as we can afford to give the support, we will be doing so. I also want to mention GIDC. No, I don't have any direct dealings with them, but the GIDC team has been doing a fabulous job for the businesses of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. So I must commend the GIDC team here in Grenada who have been assisting the businesses in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. So kudos to you for all the hard work that you've been doing to ensure that there is ease of doing business in Carriacou and Petite Martinique and making it easier for the businesses up there. That must be mentioned.
Lyndon, let me ask you, because Minister mentioned money quite a bit. Any idea as to the investment that Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority has made in this recovery process? What type of monies are we talking about? Because it's important for the citizens to know, if it's tax dollars, if it's grants, and what is the quantum?
Still operating, but it's over $5 million.
Over 5 million, and that would be, we're speaking now in the procurement of equipment, or are we talking about your time? Because I know you have boots on the ground, you would have various contractors that you had to engage to assist with the removal of the debris, etc.
Right. So that figure I would have given is just on the investment side in terms of procuring the machinery. So that's why I said over, because it's still a figure that we're processing, and funds have been allocated by the government towards this, which is why it is very important that cost recovery is a measure included within this whole operation, because trucking is costly, manpower is costly, and all of these things.
Okay. If you were to give a guesstimate, I know you're not the finance person, but it's important for us to know what disasters cost us. If we're talking climate justice, these are numbers that we'd have to crunch. One 6-hour period, let's say, on July 1st, and the economy of Grenada has been impacted by X number. I know the people within the Ministry of Finance will crunch those numbers in general, but as a solid waste management authority, you would have gotten supplemental assistance. So 5 million for the procurement of equipment, and any idea as to what other types of bills are coming in. I'm pushing deliberately on this because I want Grenadians to hear, what has been the effort in the recovery process just from the standpoint of solid waste.
I wouldn't be able to give you a figure, but I can give you in terms of what that means in terms of operationalizing such an endeavor. So you look at 24-hour trucking to move stuff to the various playing fields. That includes the excavators, that includes the operators and the sorters. Right? And that's been ongoing post-burial. So that's over 4 months worth of work. Now with we're moving into the last phase where we're going to do a crunch, remediating those playing fields and moving them to the aggregate within the 2 weeks. That's going to be another 24-hour operation with a finite timeline.
All right.
To utilize the machinery and the investment that we have done. Then shipping that out to do some recovery within the cost of the recycling operation is another aspect that we're looking to demonstrate.
Okay, all right. Minister, the devastation almost can look as you have a blank slate.
Yes.
Right? You get a redo on Carriacou and Petite Martinique. So this is an opportunity.
Yes.
What are some of the economic priorities for yourself as minister and for the administration in building back a resilient economy in Carriacou?
Oh, that's a tough question. Good question, rather. Well, the focus has to be on infrastructure and how we build the infrastructure, and ensuring that we build the infrastructure bigger, better, more smarter, resilient. Right. That in the event that we experience any catastrophic activity, such like burial, that we will be able to withstand. So that's something that must be done, because you can't be talking about building the economy and you're not building to withstand the devastating effects of climate changes. For example, I know a lot of people are complaining that we are taking too long with the rebuilding process, but the rebuilding process is taking this long because we want to win, because we are deliberately ensuring that we rebuild more sustainably and more stronger, so that in the event of something like this, we do not have to spend all this money again. The $5 million that my brother spoke about in procuring the equipment, and the over $7 million that Project Pristine, we're paying Project Pristine to clean up the debris and so on, and all these millions of dollars that we have to pump in, it has to come from somewhere. It's coming from the taxpayers, and those monies could have been used to help do so many other things. Right. You understand the point? So you must ensure that we focus on the infrastructure. Certainly tourism, because we need to build the tourism industry. Agriculture, like the fisheries and fishing and farming is something that we also need to focus on. But certainly there is a plan that we're working on to ensure that we redesign the economy of Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Okay. Yeah. And part of Smarter, because I know you would have lost, we talk about the loss of trees. Is there a deliberate attempt to replant trees?
Yes, a deliberate attempt to plant trees, but we're also starting with our mangrove. Okay. Because the mangrove got a serious beating. I don't know if you've been to Carriacou since Beryl.
I have not.
You need to come to Carriacou.
I'm willing to come in, and I was asking about housing. And
you'll come.
You didn't offer me a room in the house.
You'll be fine. You can come. The mangrove has taken a hard hit, and of course we are working with the government people of Guyana that will provide us with some mangrove plants, which we'll hopefully be replanting very soon. So, and apart from the mangrove, of course, the other replanting of trees and so on, that must be done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have to learn our lessons from the past, and most of the things that we are doing is really looking at what happened in the past or what did not happen, right, and ensuring that it's done. So a lot of people are asking, well, why focus on the government building? I'm saying, well, we're focusing on the people's building, because if you look in the past, the people's buildings were neglected. Correct. And the people's buildings are needed so that the people can have access to services. Right. So that's important. And of course, ensuring that and the millions of dollars in rent that the people are paying 20 years later because the people's building were not addressed. Of course. Okay. So all of those things, I mean, you may look at it and there's a strategy behind it, because the decisions that I make today, probably it's for 20, probably 15 years down the road, people are going to benefit from it. Maybe we may not experience another hurricane like this probably in the next 15 or 20 years, but at least we have to prepare. That in the event that we are stronger. Okay. Yeah. All right. Lyndon is wrapping up time. So just some last comments that you will share with the population on the work of Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, and some admonitions probably of how we should be behaving, not just as Carriacou and Petite Martinique, but also as mainland Grenada, to make your work easier.
Okay, so just to reiterate, the scoping of the project that we're undertaking is to encompass Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. The project operation right now is to address the situation with Carriacou and Petite Martinique as was hit. But there's very much forward thinking into if Grenada mainland was hit, how do we address that? What does that entail? We were speaking a while ago about the ground cover and so on. So for example, the difference between buying a small wood chipper versus a tree shredder versus a large machine and moving those materials to a processing center is that at a processing center we can do it in bulk, get that material back out onto the ground cover to keep the moisture in, especially in a situation in Carriacou, where once again, all the foliage was moved and the land was bleached to keep that in. And that's the extent at which we're going. We're not just thinking about now, we're thinking about future disasters. Okay. Anything you'd like to see from the population, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, Grenada? Right, so what we're seeing now, we're seeing the major compliance in terms of the efforts to get the materials in, understanding and working with us. And like I said, barring that one incident, and as the Minister have stated, we're very much rebuilding the effort. There's over 100 persons employed, there's PPEs and health and safety aspects and training being employed in terms of the management of the resources and the debris, and by extension, remediation. So, provided, God forbid, we do get damaged, again, we're able to bounce back a lot faster. Okay, thank you very much. Minister, your closing comments, and I will also give you the opportunity if there's a wish list that you would like to share with the population, Grenadians in the diaspora or the international community, you can say that, but your closing comments. Closing comments is that 4 months after Beryl, we were able to reopen schools. Majority of schools have been repaired or are under construction. Our health centers are under construction. Thankfully, our
Our hospital is now fully operational. Our farmers and fishers are receiving support from the government, millions of dollars worth of support from the government of Grenada. Carriacou is 90% clean, debris free, and of course, Solid Waste Management Authority, although I've given them a very hard, anyways, I've given them a hard time, but nonetheless, they've been doing a marvelous job, and the management and team, along with the minister, must be commended for that. The rebuilding process has been going well. Homes are being covered, roof-wise. Homes are being built. The government, hopefully, we will be able to deliver roughly 50 homes between now and the new year to people of Carriacou and Petite, and of course with the prefabs that are coming in, 200 homes, 200 prefabs. So all of those are wonderful news that and of course trying to get the economy back up and going. As you know, as I mentioned, the restaurants are starting to open, the hotels are starting to open. Support is being given to our local businesses through the GDP. $25 million was placed there by, again, tax dollars to support our local businesses, which they have started to draw down on. Grant support, as I said, and also a soft loan, 1% interest, 1% interest fee, 1% interest loan. So all those are some positive things that we have done within the 4 months. Certainly, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. We'll get there together. We certainly have a shortage of manpower, skilled men, and we also have a shortage now and again of building materials. Those are our 2 biggest challenge. But nonetheless, we are pushing forward. And all the support that anybody can give to the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, we will certainly accept it. But let me just put on record as well, Mr. Dowe, my profound gratitude to the world, gratitude to the people of Grenada in particular, who came out in their numbers when we were still shell-shocked, traumatized, and hurt. And you came up, leaving everything behind in Grenada every weekend, in some cases every day, to help mentor, to help empathize and sympathize with the people and help to clean up Carriacou. We thank you very much for all the sacrifices and the hard work that you've made for us. As a matter of fact, because of that, along with probably me being hard with the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, woke the people up and give them the spirit to get up. So we really appreciate all that you have done for the people of Carriacou. As Member of Parliament, I say thank you. And thank you for everyone, diaspora elsewhere, who have come on board to assist the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Certainly we have seen unity among our people, something that we have not seen in a long time. And Carriacou people, we have this mentality about mainlanders that, they don't like us and this and that and the other. Certainly, my friends, that have changed, that perspective have changed by your actions, and we really and truly appreciate it. Again, the Grenlec GIDC, Solid Waste Management Authority, and the Royal Grenada Police Force must be commended. Commissioner Don Mackenzie and his team, especially the team, the Coast Guard team, has done a marvelous job. I recall being in New York on the Sunday and having to come back Sunday. And I told the commissioner, hello, high waters, I'm coming up to Carriacou. At that point, SVG stopped flying, so I couldn't come up. No boats was going on the water, because at that time, the water started to surge. And I said, I'm going to Carriacou, I'm going to be with my people. And the commissioner made it happen, and the Coast Guard team, I don't know how they did it, because it was I've never experienced the water that rough. And I traveled the Coast Guard now and again. And I traveled the Osprey regular. Never in my life experience this sort of water, 12 feet in open waters in some instances. But we managed to get up to Carriacou, and the guys end up getting back to Grenada. So again, commend the hard work and the sacrifices that the men and women of the Royal Grenada Police Force have made. And yes, I was hard on the police as well. But in the end, people like Glenn Charles and John Charles, ACP and ASP, have done a fabulous job in Carriacou. They must be commended for the level level of security and professionalism in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and I really, really want to put that on record. So Commissioner and his team, kudos to you, and kudos to everyone. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government, Honorable Tevin, and of course, Mr. Lyndon Charles from the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority. Thank you both for sharing on the rebuilding efforts in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and to you, the viewers and listeners, for sharing the last 90 minutes with us. As you hear, all hands on deck. It's not over. It's getting into be a good place, and we can contribute. We ought not overrun Carriacou just yet, but we can go up and continue to give assistance by hands and by dollars. Thank you so much for joining us and for your participation this evening, and I look forward to being with you in another 6 days, 22.5 hours. Take good care. Godspeed.